Good morning, everyone. A good Erev Chodesh. Today is the last Perek of Bava Basra. Today's shiur is the Ilay Nishmas Aronachim Simcha Kohen Rishon Mochem Shepsel Rechas Shav Shmuel Lev and Bina Moshe Ben Yosef Meir Nishmas Avon Aliyah and for Shlemet Yisrael Rachel Leah Rachel Bas Pasal Zelda Rachel Eliana Bas Yar Bracha Avi Yisrael Marisha Chai Bas Bela and also for Shlemet to um, David Ari ben Rivka and Moshe ben Figa, who are undergoing surgery right now. Kidney transplant. May the transplant be successful, and they should both have a full stamina. Okay. Um, Perek Yud, Mishnah Aleph. They were talking. This chapter, this parak is talking about documents. The halachas regarding documents. We're talking a lot about a get. But remember, the get, which we usually refer to as a divorce document, but in the Gemara terminology and the Commission terminology, a get is an ordinary document, not necessarily, not just, not necessarily a divorce document, but any document is called a get. It's a generic term. So, a simple document has its witnesses signed on its front, meaning at the end of the document in a normal manner. You have any legal document. If you want a ksuba, or you have like mortgage documents or contracts, whatever, you have all the nusach of the document, and at the bottom or throughout, you have signatures of different witnesses and the people taking the loans. That's normal. But Makusha, but a tied document has its witnesses signed on its back. What's a tied document? How you prepare that? So his sofer writes the first line of the document, then leaves a blank line, follows the written line over the blank line, and sews the full closed. He then writes the second line, leaves another blank line, follows the written line over that, and so on and so forth. So it kind of looks like it's like one of those like paper fans. Um, um, the remainder, excuse me, the remainder of the document's text is written in the normal way on the front of the document. The witness is signed on the back of the document with one witness signing on the back of each fold. If the simple document has its witnesses signed on its reverse, the way that they usually signed a signed document, or a tied document which has the witness its Edom signed on its front. I mean, they're both done in the wrong way. They're both possible because they were not written according to the rules that were set up by the Chachamim. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel Omer, Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel says, "Mekusher shekashu edam b'tocho kasher." And a tie document with its witnesses signed on its front is kosher. If neish yachal so pasha, because the sofer can make it into a simple document by opening its folds. And even though there's going to be blank spaces between the first few lines of the document where the document was originally folded down, it doesn't matter because there's often blank spaces between the lines of the document, different paragraphs, different sections. That's okay. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Hakol k'minig Dina." Everything follows the custom of the community. So if there's a minhag in a certain place to use either type of document, the person asks for one type, but the silver prepares the other type. And Shimon ben Gamliel holds that the document is kosher because the person does not really care which way the document is prepared, since both types are used here, and his instruction to prepare it was one way was only a suggestion. Mishnah Beis get a simple document must be signed by two witnesses. And a tied document must be signed by three witnesses. Even though the Torah does not require more than two witnesses to offer testimony, offer edus on any matter, Chachamim required that there must be a third witness on a get makusher on a tie document. um, you need three. Again, makusher, a tie document needs to have one witness for each fold that the sofer makes while he's preparing it. This can be more than three, but the minimum is three folds and three witnesses. Okay, let's try it again. Pashat Shekasov Bo Eight Echad. There's a simple document that has only one witness signed on it. Or Makusha Shekasov Bo Edom, or a tie document that has two witnesses signed on it. Shnei and Pesulim, they're both puzzle. A simple document without two witnesses is possible by Torah law, because two witnesses are required for most edus. And a tie document without three witnesses is possible because, despite the fact that there's still two witnesses offering edus, because it was not prepared according to the rules of the Chachamim. Gotta follow the rules. Because of Zuzan the Enos Salon Esrin. If the words 100 Zuzim, which amount to 20 Salim, were written in a document, for example, for a long document, Salim, which equals only 80 Zuz. As a statement, it was also identified the sum as 100 Zuz, which would normally equal 25 Salim. We interpret these words as referring to 100 zuzim of poor quality, which are only worth 20 slime. Since the document holder cannot prove that he is owed more than this amount, he cannot use the document to collect more than this. Zuzin, and the words okay, let's try this again. So if in the document, Ein Lo Elamana, the document holder can claim only 100 zuz and not 30 stated slime, which would equal 120 zuz. Thus, we interpret the document as referring to 30 slime of poor quality, which are worth only 100 zuz in total. Since the document holder cannot prove that he is owed more than this, he cannot collect the larger amount. If the document says silver zuzim and the amount of, and the next word is erased, the missing amount cannot be less than two, because the word zuzim, which is plural, shows that the amount that had to be written in the document was at least two. Therefore, he can collect the two zuzim, but not more. Kesef saline to eat of in the similarly, the document says silver saline in the amount of, the next word is erased. Ein pachos mishnayim. Also, it cannot be less than two, because that's a plural. Darkanos to inov in the and the document says darkanos in the amount of, the next word was erased. A darkon is a gold coin, as referenced in Sefer Ezra. Ein pachos mishnayim. Again, this cannot be less than two because it's in the plural. If the amount of amana is written earlier in a document, but later in the document, if it's written earlier in the document, but later in the document, when the main information in the document is repeated, the amount is written as 200 zus. Well, the or in the opposite case, where earlier in the document, the amount is written as 200 zuz, and later in the document review, the amount is written as 1 mana, as 100 zuz. Hakol holich achar tachton. Everything follows after the amount as it is written in the bottom, because we assume that the sofer originally made a mistake and then corrected his mistake later in the document. If so, why do we write the earlier part of the document at all? What is the value of the earlier part of the document if the critical parts are always repeated? And we always follow what is written in the later part if the two do not match. Because if one letter of a name or amount in the document is erased in the bottom of the document, we learn from the top of the document what the missing letter was. Where there's no clear contradiction, the top of the document can tell us what letter was erased from the bottom of the document. So you have proof to go on. The Gimel. Question get the ish avapish and ish to email. When we write a bill of divorce for a man, even if his wife is not with him, because then he's going to take that divorce bill, that get, and use it to divorce his wife. Shova the Isha, and we write a receipt for a woman that states that her suba has been paid, and give it to her, or she will have ready to give to her husband when the suba is paid to her. Even if her husband is not with her, since this document states that the woman is no longer owed her ksuba, may be written only with her consent. The husband's knowledge or consent is not needed. This is only if the scribe and if the sofer and the witnesses are familiar with both of them. The Baal knows it's char, and the husband must pay the sofer for the cost of writing both the bill of divorce and the receipt. He must pay for the get because it's his responsibility to prepare a bill of divorce to get to his wife. If he wishes to divorce her, he must pay for the receipt because it was written for his benefit, so his wife would not be able to collect her ksuba more than once. You may write a loan document for the borrower even if the lender is not with him. The A goes to the Malva, I'd see hey lova ima. But we may not write a loan document for the lender unless the borrower is with him. Lova knows it's char. The borrower pays for the document since it is being written for his benefit to enable him to obtain the loan. We may write a sale document for a seller even though the buyer is not with him, because the seller is the only one who stands to lose thereby. The seller can have a bill of sale prepared even before the sale is made, and it is his responsibility to keep it from the buyer until the sale takes place. But we may not write a sale document for the buyer unless the seller is with him, as the buyer could use such a document to falsely claim property that he never bought. Does say in Sachar, and the buyer pays for a bill of sale since he is considered to be the one who benefits more from the sale. Mishnah Daled. We may not write the documents that are written at the time of betrothal and marriage unless it is with consent of both the chassid and the kala. The chassid knows in Sachar, but the groom alone pays for the cost of writing the documents, even though both the chassid and kala benefit from these agreements. The main benefit is received by the chassid, therefore he has to pay for the documents. We also may not write documents that describe sharecropping or tenant farming agreements unless it is with the consent of both the landowner and the renter. The one who receives the field, the renter, pays the cost of writing the document, but he is considered the main beneficiary of the arrangement. Ain't cause we started Beruvin the Chamas based in we also may not write documents of choosing or any document or any documents that record court judgments, unless it's with the consent of both parties. um, knows Sachar, and both parties pay the cost of the documents of the choosing between them since the both parties have from, since they both benefit from having them written. Sorry, my throat is not geschmack. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Shneihen kostu shnayim v'zeh, asko v'zeh asko." The two litigants write two documents. This one for himself, this one for himself. He's looking silly, does not wish the other have all his claims arguments available so you can study a plan how to to that. To avoid this, we will write a separate document for each litigant. Someone owed money to another person and paid back part of his loan. Hishlish S. Staro and the lender, with the consent of the borrower, gave his loan document to a third party to hold. I'm alone, and I do not give. If I do not give you the balance of the loan, between now and such a day, give the lender back his document. So I'll be able to collect the entire amount of the loan again. Okay, so back from some tech issues. Let's go. Higias Ma'amalonas in the time. So Rabbi Yossi Omer Yitin, and the borrower must suffer the penalty that he accepted upon himself. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Lo Yitin. Rabbi Yehuda says you should not give the document to the lender because the borrower agreed to the penalty only because he was sure he would be paid a loan on time. Such an agreement is not legally binding. Mishnah Vav. Someone whose loan document is accidentally erased, and he didn't allow Aiden can bring witnesses who know what was written in a document to testify about the document. But both name based in Osin Lokiyim, and they come before a court that will prepare a document of certification for him, which he will then be able to use in place of the original loan document. The document begins by saying, "Ish plani plani kakштара biyam plani plani edav." That this person, so and so, the son of so and so, had his loan document which had been written on such and such a date, became erased, and so and so and so and so were his witnesses that were signed on the document. They then recorded in the replacement document all the information that was written in the original document. The lender can use it to collect the loan in place of the original document. If someone paid part of his loan, Yachlif. And here it says that the lender exchanges the old loan document for a new one. The borrower prepares a new document stating the amount that he is still owed. The lender must rip up the original document, and the borrower gives him the new document in its place. Rabbi Yossi Yomer Yichtav Shover. Rabbi Yossi says the lender can write a receipt for the partial payment and give it to the borrower to serve as proof that he has paid part of the loan. He may then keep the original document. Rabbi Yehuda challenges. Rabbi Yehuda challenges Rabbi Yossi, and he says, "Nimsa zeh tzarich liyosh shomer min achbarim." We force the borrower to accept the receipt from his partial payment, and will emerge that this man, I mean the borrower, will have to guard his receipt to keep it from being eaten by mice or lost. Because if he loses it, then the lender will be able to collect the entire loan. Why should we trouble the borrower in this way? I'm a Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says to Yehuda, Kach Yachalo, but this arrangement is better for the lender, as the borrower will pay him back faster because he's worried that he will lose his receipt. Lo Yora Kocho Shalzeh, and the lender's power should not be weakened just because we're worried about the borrower. Mishnah Zion, Shnei Achin Echad Ani Echad Ashir. There were two brothers. One was poor, one was rich. Yes. And the father died and left the bathhouse or an olive press as the Yerusha. So the wealthy brother wants to use the bathhouse or an olive press himself, while the poor brother who cannot afford to do this wishes to rent him out. In such a situation, the halacha is asan la sachar. The father had used them for rental income. Sachar and then the children rent them out as well, and the rent is divided equally between them. Asan asman. However, if their father had not rented them out, but rather had used them for himself and his family, hooray, ashir over the ani, then the rich brother can say to the poor one, Kach lecha if you want to use the bathhouse, buy yourself servants to make wood and build fires to heat water and wash in the bathhouse. Or buy yourself olives to come and crush them in the olive press. The poor brother cannot demand that the property be rented out because the rich brother can claim that he has the right to use the property privately, the same way that the father used it. The poor brother does not have the funds to use the property this way. He cannot stop the rich brother from doing so. If there were two people living in the same city, Shem Echad Yosef ben Shimon, Shem Acher Yosef ben Shimon, and one of their names is Yosef ben Shimon, and the other name is also Yosef ben Shimon. Then the halacha that applies to them, that they have the same name, are as follows. Neither of them can produce a loan document to collect a debt from the other because they have the same names. You have that very often with the Hasidises, but the name of after Rebbe. How many Machamendels are there in the world? How many Yoels are there? The Yosef Yitzchaks from Yaakov Yosef was saying. You have all the different Rebbes that lived. The follower is always named after that. Neither nor could any other person produce a loan document to collect the debt from either of them, is the borrower, not he. Nimsa the Echa ben Shtarosov, and if someone finds a receipt among his loan documents that says Shtaros Yosef ben Shimon Barua, the loan document which states that I owe money to Yosef ben Shimon has paid up, and he had borrowed the same amount of money from both Yosef ben Shimon's. Shtaros Neim Pruin. Then, when either Yosef ben Shimon produces a loan document to collect money from him, the loan documents of both of them are paid up. Neither one can use this document to demand payment of the loan since the receipt does not state which one of them was paid and which one wasn't. Case in Yasu, what should they do? Yishalishu. They should add the third generation to their names. Right, the grandfather's name. So it'd be Yosef ben Shimon ben Yaakov. And the other one will be Yosef ben Shimon ben Avram. That way there will be no more confusion. And if they have the same names of three generations, when the grandfathers had identical names as well, Yakasu Simon, they should write a distinguishing physical characteristic, meaning, say that Yosef ben Shimon, the tall one, or Yosef ben Shimon, the chubby one. Even if they had the same physical characteristics but come from different tribes, Yikasu Kohen, they should write Yosef ben Shimon, the Kohen of the Yisrael, to distinguish between them. There's got to be something that you can distinguish between the two of them so it doesn't get confusing. However, if someone says to his son while on his deathbed, Star Bain, Starosa, Perua, any day Asa, who one of the documents among my loan documents is paid, but I do not know which one. Staros Kula Peruin. The son must treat all of the documents as if they are paid. He does not know which document was paid them, so the Echad Sham Shtayim. However, if he found two documents that recorded the two loans made to the same borrower, Hagalda Perua Vakatan Ena Perua. Then he treats only the larger one as paid, and the smaller one is not considered paid. Because the father said that only one of his documents is paid. Therefore, at most, the son must be concerned that the borrower repaid only one of the two loans. He can collect the smaller of the two loans. If someone lends money to his fellow on the word of the guarantor, lo yifara min min ha'arov, min ha'ariv, the lender may not demand payment from the guarantor until he first asks the borrower to repay the loan. If the borrower refuses to pay, the lender must sue the borrower in court. If the court tells the borrower to pay and he has nothing to pay with, only then can the lender collect from the guarantor. But if the lender said at the time he made the loan, and I am lending the borrower this money with you as the guarantor on the condition that I will be able to demand repayment from whoever I want, then he may demand repayment from the guarantor first. Okay. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says, if the borrower has available property such as land, the benkach lo yifara min ha'arev. Then in both, in this case of regular arev and in this case of an arev kablan, the lender may not collect from the guarantor first. The Kain higher Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, so to Rav Shimon ben Gamliel would say, arev isha b'ksubas, the one signed as a guarantor for a woman ksuba, haya bala the garsha, the husband is divorcing her, so that the guarantor must pay her the ksuba. The husband does not. Yadirena hana, husband must make a vow forbidding her to benefit from him. Shema yasu kanunya am the chasm shalzeh, but we are concerned that perhaps the husband does not wish to leave his wife at all, and they are entering into a conspiracy to steal the guarantor's property. Their plan is to divorce so that the wife can collect the ksuba from the guarantor. The yaksir is ishto, and then the husband will remarry his wife and keep the guarantor's money. So to protect this arev from such a conspiracy, he forced the husband to make a vow that his wife cannot have benefit from him. So he will not be able to marry her once he divorces her. Mishnah Ches, Hamal ve'eschale avishtar, go b'min chasim, Mishubadim, is the last Mishnah in the Masechta. Sorry. Someone lends his fellow money with a document, meaning at the time the loan was made, the borrower gave the lender a loan document that was signed by witnesses, which recorded the amount and date of the loan. He may collect the loan even from sold properties, which are real properties, I mean real estate, that the borrower owned at the time of the loan, but sold to someone else afterwards. However, if the loan was made in front of the witnesses, but no document was prepared, the lender may collect only from free properties that are still in possession of the borrower. He may not collect from the properties that were sold by the borrower. Because there's no loan document, the buyer has no way to know that there was a lien on the property he was buying, and the Chum decreed that in such a case, the lender is not allowed to take it from the buyer. Similarly, if the lender produces for the borrower's note that he owes him the money, he may collect the debt only from free properties that are still in the borrower's possession. Although there was a document, I mean the IOU in this case, since it was not signed by witnesses, did not cause word of the loan to become public knowledge. The loan, therefore, cannot be collected from sold properties. Arev hayotzil achar chitov shtaros. The signature of a guarantor appears after the signatures of the witnesses on a loan document, and the lender comes to collect the loan from the guarantor. Govem in the chasim and the chorin. He can collect only from free properties that are in the possession of the guarantor. Even though the loan itself is recorded in a document with witnesses, the obligation of the guarantor, which appears after the witnesses' signatures, is considered to be only a verbal obligation since the witnesses did not attest to it. Therefore, buyers of the guarantor's properties may not have been aware of this obligation, and the lender cannot collect from them. Ma'aseh said, but if they Rabbi Shmuel, an actual incident, and we're going to wrap up the Masechta with this story. An actual incident came before Rabbi Shmuel for judgment when the pledge of the guarantor appeared in the loan document after the signatures of the witnesses. I mean, the signatures were in the middle, and there was more writing afterwards. For Amar Govem and the Chasim and the Chorin, and he ruled that the lender could collect only from the free properties of the guarantor, as the first Tana of the Mishnah stated. Amar Benanas said to him, Eino Govem and the Chasim Shabbat Lom and the Chasim and the Chorin. No, the lender may not collect from the guarantor at all, neither from the sole properties nor from the free properties. He's not obligated to repay the loan at all. Amalo Lamas. He said, why do you do this way? Amalo Hare Hachodech es Echem Shuk. If someone was strangling a person who owed him money in the street because he was not repaying in the money that he owed, and his friend found him and said to the creditor, leave him alone and I'll pay the money. Potter, the guarantor is exempt, and he has no obligation to pay. Shalom al emunaso havahu. This was not due to trust in the guarantor that the creditor lent the money, because Peradas holds that since the loan was not made on the guarantor's say so, his pledge to repay the loan does not legally obligate him to do so. In the case of a guarantor, his pledge appears after the witness's signature as well. Since the loan is made with the guarantor's pledge, he's not chayav to repay the loan at all. Ella, ezu arev shehu chayav. Rather, which guarantor is chayav to repay a loan? Hilvahu havehu v'ani noser l'chach chayav. One who says, lend him the money, I will give it to you, does not repay the loan, is chayav to repay the loan. Because it was on his say so that the lender lent the money to the borrower. The guarantor legally obligates himself to repay only when it was his pledge that actually caused the lender to grant the loan. Amar Yishmael said, one who wishes to become wise should study monetary laws. If there is no area of Torah that is greater than they, Shehein, Kimayan, Hanaveya, they are like a bubbling spring, but Rosh Hashanah, and the one who wishes to study monetary laws under an expert teacher, Yishamesh as Shimon Ben should serve Shimon Ben-Nanas. Hajj Allah, Bava Basra, and we will see you tomorrow as we start Sanhedrin. A good Chodesh. Have a wonderful day. Today's not Rosh Chodesh, tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh, but you know what I mean.